Welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specializing in the wedding industry. Each week, we'll explore the strategies, stories, and insider tips that help wedding professionals thrive. You'll hear solo episodes filled with actual advice for social media and inspiring conversations with esteemed wedding industry guests. Thank you for tuning in and letting this podcast be a part of your day. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. If you've listened to this show before, thanks for returning. And if you're new here, my name is Nina Adio, and I am a social media marketer for wedding industry professionals. But what you probably noticed if you clicked on this episode, or if you've listened to past episodes, that we don't just talk about social media. So why is that? Shouldn't I want to just be plugging social media here? But social media only works if all of the other things are in a row too, particularly your website. And my goal as a social media manager is to get you more leads, right? And on this podcast, I don't care where you get the leads from, as long as it's from something you heard while listening here. So today we're having a friend of the show. He's been on before, Brian Lawrence of Brian Lawrence Weddings, coming on to talk about a client-centric website. I'm not going to even go there. I'm going to let the expert talk about it and what it is. You may have heard Brian before on this podcast. You may have seen him speak, whether at Wedding MBA in past years or most recently at the Inclusive Wedding Summit, or maybe you've just crossed paths with him through his decades in the industry, working with professionals like Alan Berg and great names worldwide. Well, today he is coming on the podcast, and like I said, he's going to be telling us what a client-centric website is and how that's going to make a difference in your bookings. So let's give it over to Brian. Brian, welcome back to the podcast. You are one of the friends of the show we have on here.
Well, you're a friend in every way, Nina.
Oh, that's so nice. Thanks, Brian. So for those listening, tell them where you're coming from today.
Well, I'm really coming from things that I think are really good takeaways that you could really implement like right now to improve your website, improve your SEO, because sometimes the smallest implementations could have really big results. So, I mean, that's what we really want, right? We want to be able to spend time learning something and it not be something, maybe I'll get to this someday. Some of these things you can get to now.
I love it. That's inspiring, and that's kind of like what I like to have on the podcast, tangible tips that you can implement right away. And so at the opening, I said you were going to talk about client-centric websites. So I said I'm not even going to define it. I'm going to let Brian do that. So what does that mean to have a client-centric website?
Well, I don't think that most venues and vendors are thinking about their website from this vantage point when they're creating it. I mean, what they want to do is they want to get out the information that they think is relevant for a potential wedding, client to see and take action with. But a lot of times it projects almost like a resume. Here's what I do. Here are my packages. Here are my rewards. But that approach makes your website about you, and your potential client isn't there for you. They're there for them. A client-centric site changes the ball game. Instead of starting with what you offer, it starts with what they feel. It says, we see you, we get your hopes, your concerns, what really makes you happy, and we're here to help. So it has an anticipation of their unspoken questions. Do you understand our vibe? Can you handle our cultural traditions? All the things that are important, that can create connection, that can create trust. It's about emotional clarity, not just visual design. It's about writing like you're already having a conversation and structuring your site so they feel guided, not sold to. Because when people feel seen, they're more likely to respond. And that's where, some booking momentum could begin.
So when you say to guide the client, What does that actually look like on a website in action?
Well, first of all, it's a matter of trying to rein in the user experience and the navigation. A lot of vendors tend to not look at how they deliver their content as a hierarchy. They'll have all of these different options. Sometimes they'll even have right on the header of the homepage a client login. Now, what use is a client login for a potential client? I mean, that's for someone that's already a client. And say you're a DJ and you are prominently displaying and talking about add-ons when you haven't even gotten them to contact you for the core service. Do you want to have pricing so prominently placed? Of course, you want to be transparent with pricing, but at the same time, if you have your pricing right in the center of your navigation menu or very easy to access in the hamburger menu on mobile, and all they do is they see a price list and they don't have any context as to what you bring to the table, and your price isn't in their imagined budget, they could leave without even having a chance to get to know you. So it's very strategic. You can't control where they click, but you can rein in where they click. And it definitely starts with the homepage and not, first of all, not taking for granted and making them reliant on using the menu, but having your homepage have this flow that immediately engages them with a beautiful image, immediately gives them the opportunity to take action. At any point, have like a call to action, perhaps on the header, that allows them to set up a call.
We spoke about the visuals a bit, and then we also have the tool of our language on a website. So how can we use those things as wedding pros to relate to the client, to mirror the client and connect with them?
Well, one of the things is that you have to be diverse. I mean, if all of your photos show young, straight, slender, Caucasian couples, you're only speaking to one segment. Your gallery needs to include diverse couples for culture, for gender, for size. You want to say that everybody belongs here in the way that your site radiates, and your words should echo that. Like swap our packages for your party vision. And the other thing that's really important to understand is that this just can't be on your homepage, because when someone is searching on Google, depending on the keywords that they choose, they can deliver you to any page on your website. So your whole website has to be carefully thought out. Every page should have some sort of context about why you, and reflect that diversity and welcoming voice.
You also mentioned putting kind of at the top or with your images, a call to action button. So, can we talk a little bit about call to actions, why they're important, and what we can do to actually get people to take the action?
Well, most sites have some sort of call to action, and they may not even realize what a call to action is. I mean, basically, even your navigation is a call to action. You're giving people an opportunity to click from one navigation to another. But there could be some intentionality in how you strategize your call to action. And the reason that most calls to actions fall flat is because they're written more from a place of function, not feeling, like having submit or contact us. Those aren't invitations, they're more like chores. They tell the visitor what you want them to do, but not why they should care or what they're going to get. The psychology behind calls to action that actually work is more rooted in emotional safety and forward momentum. If you think about it, when someone is looking at your website, they're not just looking for information. They're weighing risk to a certain extent. Like, do I want to reach out? Will this be awkward? Are they going to try to sell me? A good call to action quiets those fears. It gives clarity. It gives comfort. Like, for example, when you use the word book in a call to action, like book the date, now, you might be thinking that you're inviting them to fill out a contact form, but they might, when they see the word book, they might be saying, oh, no, I'm not ready to book. So the words that you choose need to be very carefully crafted, and you want to make them diverse. You don't want to have learn more everywhere you go. You want to contour the call to action depending on what you really want them to do. But in most cases, it's always a welcoming and a creative process. And certainly there are some low commitment calls to action strategies that are very effective in gathering leads and very relevant. Say, check our availability. I mean, that's something that if you are a service and not a product where you only have a limited capability based on date availability, that's something that a couple would want to know. So why not have right in front of them have an opportunity to answer the question that they're asking?
So, I'm thinking back in the day, Brian, there was just, you had your menu tab on top that had the contact page, and that was it, right? That was
Yeah.
like the one call to action. And now things are so different. We have scroll-based triggers and placements and, the kind of infinite scroll of the website. So I imagine there needs to be a strategy between where we are placing these on a site. So can you speak to that?
Well, it's certainly more to it being a means to an end. If you're trying to get a point across, if you've shown something that is really nice, or whether it's, a really popular add-on, or the fact that, say, you're a vendor and you're a preferred vendor at a venue that really piques interest. I mean, let's face it, if a couple that is on the website sees that you're associated with the venue that they trust, that could be an express train to generate interest and have that type of trust and inspiration to take action. So having a call to action there could be very timely. I mean, essentially, for most wedding vendors, and certainly all wedding venues, it's all about you're selling the two-way conversation. I mean, no matter how nice your website is, when you're speaking with them on a two-way level, that's the best outcome. That's the opportunity where you could actually make a sale happen. So all of those, it's after those emotional peaks. It's after those really nice visuals. It's like before you're going from one major section of the website of a page to another, why not give them an opportunity to act on what they just read?
As I'm thinking about it, not only is it the buttons, right, who have increased their presence, but the forms themselves too. Sometimes you'll see the contact form. It's not just on the contact page anymore. Sometimes it will be at the bottom of different pages to capture that. Because once you click that button, you're getting to that form. So what are some of the big mistakes you see wedding vendors making with their forms?
Well, one of one of
Sorry,
one,
if you're not watching on YouTube, you didn't see Brian have that innate eye roll.
well, one of the things that we have to realize is that this is not a survey. It's not a TSA screening, like 20 questions requiring everything. You want to make it inviting for someone to fill out a form by making it short and sweet, not like a homework assignment that people can feel like, I'm not doing this now, and they bail. So the form is like the first action someone's taking towards trusting you. In general, you want to, first of all, frame the reason to fill out the form. Why not say, we can't wait to talk to you, we can't wait to share all wonderful things and learn about you. Like, make the whole invitation to fill out the form an inviting one. But in general, biggest mistake I think is too many fields. And an equal mistake, I feel, if you're like, most wedding businesses don't have a lead problem. It's more like they have a quality lead problem. And if you're just getting leads where you have nothing to go on, where you just have their, name, wedding date, and email, it's really, yes, you have the opportunity to put them into a funnel, but you don't have any grounds to begin the conversation with an authentic conversation. And sometimes if you have just a few more fields that could bring out some great information that could help you have that conversation, even if you have them into a funnel, you can see their lead and say, hey, this is somebody worth, maybe that you see the venue that they're having their event at, or you see that they're having, some sort of culture that you've asked if they are having as part of their event. Those type of things could help you talk about, in the context of your business, how you can serve specifically. Well, I really know that venue, and here's some of the things that we love about your venue. Validate the decision that they made. Or it could be like showing that you, like, say it's a Latin wedding, if you're bilingual, or you understand all the different types of dances, things like that.
In order to be in this spot of the process, right? You need people to get to your website. So we want local people finding us on SEO. So what can we do to get people in our area finding us?
So, I mean, it's been like a journey for me. Like I wrote a book last year with Alan Berg, From Browsing to Booking. And fortunately, we shared a lot of the most current things that, like with AI and the difference between keywords and questions, that people are asking more questions. But even since then, for me, trying to learn and implement and experiment with things that are really working is almost like going back to school while having a full-time job. But I haven't been speaking so much. I've been researching and implementing, and we do have some things that we're really seeing that are working now. One of the main things, we did a case study with some of our clients. We call it near me optimization, because everybody probably by now knows that so many people are searching for X near me, wedding photographer near me, wedding venues near me, wedding planners near me. And there is a strategy that helps all of these search vehicles better make you a choice to serve you above others based on the type of phraseology that you have on your website and the signals that you are sharing with Google about your locality. And it's having a pairing of your services with real relevant geography, like thinking about like having a context of being like a bilingual wedding planner in San Antonio, or crafting wedding ceremonies in Sonoma Valley, having those type of phraseologies, and then having samples of real weddings in those venues, in those areas. It helps Google deliver you as a match for what they're looking for. And it also, besides what you do on your website, it also needs to be carried over into your Google business profile, where you have updated service areas, photos tagged with locations, and posts that reference recent events. Because when Google sees that activity, it pushes you higher in maps and search results, including near me.
And now we're going to pause for a quick sponsorship break. Wedding pros, let me ask you something. Have you been thinking about running ads but feel overwhelmed by where to start? Whether it's Google ads, TikTok ads, or Meta ads, it can feel like a maze. And that's exactly why the I Do Society created the DIY ads kits. Step-by-step resources built exclusively for wedding professionals who want results from ads without the guesswork. Inside, you're going to get ChatGPT prompts that write ad copy designed to convert. How do we know this? Because Mark Chapman and the I Do Society have been doing this for hundreds of wedding brands. You can even listen to one of his past episodes where he tells us all about TikTok ads. You'll also get Canva templates that give you scroll stopping images and videos that you can use for your ads. You'll receive how-to videos from the I Do Society team walking you through trending ad strategies and step-by-step guides so you can set up your campaigns the right way the first time. Here's the best part. When you grab your kit before October 31st, 2025, you'll save $200. After that, the price goes up to $597. The ROI on this is huge, guys. And when you want to work with an ads manager, that can cost thousands monthly on top of the ad spend. With this DIY ad kit, if you get it in October, you're spending just $397 plus whatever you decide to do for your ad spend. And the return on investment is all yours and a big opportunity. So I'm going to have the link in the show notes. We'll also link Mark's episode on the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast in the show notes. So you can check out TikTok ads and Mark's ad kits today. You use the term in that phraseology, which I really like. And both you and Alan Berg speak about how wedding professionals can use their reviews to help dictate their phraseology and language straight from their clients. Can you walk us through how you do that?
What most businesses don't realize, because when they're like developing the content strategy for their website, they're thinking about it from their own vantage point. What are the things that they think are best about their business? Or they hire a professional copywriter. But basically, with reviews, your best sales pitch is already written. It's in your client's words. When a couple says something was fantastic and they say it in this wonderfully passionate or authentic way, you can't pay enough money to get that real feedback. And the challenge and the limitations of how most businesses use those reviews is they'll just use them as testimonials. But there's no reason to not use that language on your homepage, in your calls to action. And I would say even especially your headlines. It's more like your best copy doesn't come from brainstorming, it comes from listening. Your client's already telling you what means most to them. If you look at your reviews and think about a repeating pattern of what is being said superlatively about you again and again, those are like the best benefits to accentuate on your website.
Now, when you mentioned, Brian, that we don't just need these on a testimonials page, how do we strategically and kind of organically place these reviews in other areas of our website? And does that help?
Well, what I'm saying is like if on your website, and I see this all the time. I mean, you have these pockets of text like we're reliable, or we've been in business for so many years, or we really care, like almost like content that if you copied and pasted onto 100 other websites, it would just fit because they're generic. But if you could look for those intricate benefits in the ways that your services are expressed and plant those instead of those generic terms, that's where you're bringing out your own stamp of individuality and being original. I mean, that's such a big thing, is that user experience is enhanced when you're original. They're reading things that they haven't seen before. And it's also something that Google appreciates as well. Look at those words that keep coming up: responsive, fun, easy to work with. Our guests raved, with a more nuanced type of reflection of those words based on how your clients phrase them. And certainly, this is definitely an opportunity to use AI where you can really feed in like all your reviews and ask AI certain questions, like what are some benefits that we can get from these reviews? I mean, it's all your authentic content. It's not something that you're asking for robotic interference with to like write something for you. It's just organizing it for you.
A lot of this is coming, because we want to get on Google, right? It's all about Google. And one of the things, whenever my clients mention to me Google Business Profile, I always then direct them to you. It's you got to talk to Brian Lawrence, because that is something you don't ignore. You're one of the few I feel who really stresses the importance of a Google Business Profile. So, can you talk about a bit about it? What it is beyond the one-time setup? We all know we need it, right? But what else does it do for us, and how can we show it some love?
You're absolutely right. That's really what many businesses do, is that they basically look at it almost like their website, that every once in a while they'll come back and update it. But Google is looking at it almost like a social media platform. They're looking for you to continually update it. That is showing them that you're engaging on it. They're looking for a very strong proactivity to keep getting reviews, to add photos, to add posts. There are all these different features on the Google Business Profile. Some of them display prominently when people search and they find you and they're delivered your Google Business Profile. But other fields are just there because Google wants you to take care of it. I mean, there are different type of fields that could help you identify as LGBTQ friendly, veteran owned. There's a lot of different things on that profile that are very relevant to continue to update. And sometimes, like if you have other aspects of your business other than wedding, you could actually change some of the types of services that you provide and make that the most prominent service, say for a few months when your wedding bookings are the slowest, and say someone might be looking for holiday parties. There's just a lot of different strategies that you could do within your Google Business Profile, or that us as a company do for our clients. I mean, we were really early in the game with accentuating the value of that Google business profile and Google Maps. And one of the things that's really unique in our industry is that we have these platforms nationally and local and blogs and so many different types of businesses that could rank on Google for the local search terms that you would want to rank for. And it's really hard to compete with those giants organically. And when you're ranking organically, meaning the main search results, you don't have to be located in the area. You just have to have the right type of approach to SEO, where businesses like Wedding Wire and that are spending millions of dollars in SEO. But on Google Maps, which is the deliverer of your Google business profile, you have to be a local business. So it's much less competitive, where all you're really dealing with is other local competitors. So you have a much better chance of succeeding. And there are definite other strategies that could help you take charge of even ranking better without actually doing a lot of work. One is moving your business to right in the city center of a major area that you're trying to target. If you're in the suburbs of Minneapolis and you want to really rank better on your Google Maps for Minneapolis, if you move into the center of Minneapolis, that's going to be a really strong signal for Google to rank you higher. And you could actually look to sub-rent space, say in another wedding vendor's business that has an office there or a store. So it's almost like having retail exposure without the retail headaches, instead of having, say, a home-based business where you have limited exposure on Google Maps. You have to tell them your address, but you can hide it. But people that have an address do have an advantage.
So I just want to make sure this is really clear for people listening, because sometimes I'll search on Google, I'll search restaurants near me, wedding venues near me, and then aside from the regular listings, whether they're ads or websites, there's that innate Google list it gives you of locations. So is these activities helping us to appear on there?
Yes, yes. So on the first page of just about every Google search, you will see what I call a three-pack of a cluster of businesses that have a different display listing. It shows more their name, address, the amount of reviews and image, as opposed to a regular search result that just has like a headline, the website, a little description. It's much more prominent. And when you rank on top of Google Maps, your business appears as one of those top three. It gives the visitor a chance to click on to more listings on Google Maps. So it's just a place on the first page of Google that attracts the most attention often. It's certainly gotten a little bit diluted with all of the AI results, but it's still very, very important to try to be one of the top three businesses when someone's searching relevant keywords on Google Maps.
One of the biggest takeaways, and I mentioned in my introduction how, we were part of the Inclusive Wedding Summit, and that really embraced showing your personality on your website, being different, showing who you are. So, how does focusing on how your brand is different come to play when we're updating and reviewing and designing our website?
I think that certainly, as I mentioned earlier, it's having the imagery that shows a diversity of different couples. It's also language, choosing words that won't alienate a particular group. I mean, by now, most businesses have wedding couples as opposed to bride and groom. But if you still have bride and groom, changing it to wedding couples is not going to alienate anybody, but it's going to open up to more diverse groups who would get a little bit, say if it was a gender diverse couple that doesn't relate as bride and groom, they would be a little bit off put. It also goes down to even the contact form, where you could have more inclusive types of fields, like maybe even asking for the names of both members of the engaged couple also shows that type of inclusivity. And then when you actually follow up and you're using in your CRM, say for members of the wedding party, you can then even get more granular with inviting titles and pronouns and different things like that. So it's subtle. And one thing that's really important to differentiate is that you could create landing pages that really focus on a particular target of wedding couple. Like say, going back to LGBTQ, you could have a landing page that focuses on really speaking specifically to that audience, but it doesn't have to be part of your main navigation. But if the page is designed with the right type of intent, when someone is searching for LGBTQ couples in your area, that page could be delivered to them, and that would be a perfect fit.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way. I kind of thought of landing pages as exclusive to ads. So you're saying with the right SEO behind it, it doesn't have to be?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, from an ad standpoint, a landing page is really a page that has only one intention, and that if someone goes onto that page, they can't go anywhere else. So they're almost either leave or take the action you wanted that landing page that was intended, like fill out a form. But my use of landing page is that you're really focusing on a granular part of your business that really addresses a particular higher need, not a general search term that just says, wedding photography or wedding videographer, but has a specific additional qualifier that the person wants, whether it's, again, gender, culture, a particular area. Certainly you could also expand your reach by having local pages that really speak to that area. If you're located an hour away from a major city, you're never going to make it on Google Maps because you're not in that area, but you can create an area specific page that's almost like a home page for that area.
So for those listening, can we give them some examples of high impact, specific, granular pages they could add to start showing up?
Well, certainly there are certain pages that involve like a venue strategy because often venues get searched more than any other category because usually couples are spending the most money. They'll probably research the most venues before they make a decision. So if you try to create pages that show your association with that venue, along with listing your business as a preferred vendor at that venue if you are not a venue, that's a really good type of page to have because if someone gets to that page, you're certainly not going to rank higher than the venue by when they're searching by name. But sometimes people do scroll down, and if they get to your page and they see you're associated with that venue and they contact you, that's a really strong association that they already know that you are a trusted source of that venue. There's other types of pages. Like if you have a bunch of different cultures that you're targeting, whether it's Indian weddings or Chinese or Latin or Eastern European, whatever it is, your showcasing of your knowledge of that culture could be a tremendous motivation. Like sometimes a couple wants to just know that you understand their culture, and that's the most important thing to them. And there'll be less judging of a lot of the other variables that other couples that don't have that strict criteria are measuring. They're just happy to find someone that could honor their family cultures.
I really like the example you were giving of a venue specific landing page. And so I'm wondering for our listeners, even if they're not a recommended vendor for this venue, can you map out what they should put on a venue specific landing page to help them and Google, and to help their page and how they're showing up on Google?
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. You don't have to be a preferred vendor. You just have to prove that you're familiar with that venue. And some of the things that you could have is a story from a past wedding there, photos of your setup in that space, tips specific to that venue, a call to action having to do with the venue. So it's things like that that really make it, give it a feel of what that venue radiates and your involvement and association with that venue, that you have some level of expertise in understanding what their specific needs for the service that you're providing at that particular venue.
We covered a lot of different things in this episode, from SEO to web design to the Google business page. So I'm wondering, can you just kind of give a breakdown for our listeners of your services and how they can work with you, and more about the Brian Lawrence team?
Well, essentially, we're very uniquely positioned. Like I've been in the wedding industry my entire career, owning wedding stores and I was the VP of a leading wholesale invitation brand. And for the last 12 years, I've had an agency that focuses on web design and SEO, both equal. And one thing that's really important to understand is that you don't have good SEO unless you have a really good website, because that's what Google is looking for. They're seeing all the behaviors that a couple exhibits on your website, how far they go into your website, do they click on to calls to action. So when we'll do strong new websites, but if we could also improve your website to speak better to Google, and then we have all of these other strategies that could help you build your ranking on Google and on AI searches and things like that, all with the intention of not making it like about vanity metrics. All we want to do is help you get more leads and bookings. Our strategy totally reflects that. And I think that's a really important consideration, that we're not going to tell you, oh, wow, you're doing fantastic because you've gotten a few, X number of visitors to your website. We want to see people click to your contact forms and make appointments and see you and book you.
That's great. And so we know people can go to brianlawrence.com. I'm going to tell everybody now to sign up for your newsletter because you offer not only value, but exclusive limited time freebies. So hopefully they're not too late, but get on, get on the newsletter.
If you share, I'm now offering access to my chapters of the book, and also a recording of the presentation at the Inclusive Wedding Summit that I did on making your website more inclusive and welcoming from a website and SEO standpoint. So those are very well received. I mean, I love to share information and be generous with information because, the most important thing is that that I know my stuff.
And we appreciate you coming on here and sharing it. As I've said, Brian's been on before, but I hope you'll sign up for the newsletter, get into his world. I'm going to have all of Brian's information linked in the show notes so you can follow him. Any last words before we sign off, Brian?
Just happy to share information. I've been so behind the computer, it's good to talk.
Yes, it is. It is. Brian and I do this every so often, and it's always really nice. So if you guys got any value from this episode, follow Brian on social media. Give us a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a review on Spotify or Apple, or just share the podcast with a friend. That's honestly the fastest way we can grow this podcast and share this value. Brian, we're now at over 180 episodes of free value in this podcast. It's pretty incredible. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Brian, for being here. And I'll see you on the next I Do Wedding Marketing podcast.